November is always a chance to think about what we're most grateful for in our lives. So every year when we go around the Thanksgiving table to share what we're thankful for, my husband is at the top of my list. Doug and I have been married since 2013, and it's been some really wonderful years. But just like any married couple, not every moment of our marriage has been perfect. And so today I want to talk about how Doug and I deal with conflict in our relationship and provide some advice if you're struggling with conflict or confrontation in your relationships with friends, family, or someone you love. So think about what people tend to post on social media. It's all about the best moments, right? People, including myself, tend to post about their happy moments and fun experiences. We don't post every time we have a disagreement or a disappointment or are feeling sad about something. Social media has us conditioned to just view the highlight reel of other people's lives. But I'm only human, and so are you. And so yes, Doug and I have fights in our relationship, but what's important is how we work through those conflicts. Before we even got married, I mentioned to a friend that Doug and I hadn't yet had a fight. She was really concerned about this, and she was constantly telling me, "You do know that you're going to fight, right? You do know that you don't have a relationship unless you fight, right?" She was just so worried that we hadn't fought yet. But just to explain, before we got married, Doug and I didn't live together, and we actually lived an hour apart. So I only saw Doug one day out of the week. And we were so googly-eyed when we actually got to see each other that we didn't have anything to fight about. We actually had countdowns to when we could see each other again. So after we got married and Doug moved into my house, our differences slowly started to come to light. We were so excited to finally be together that it took a little time, but in time we did have fights. We had different expectations about work. I did not realize I was a workaholic until we got married. So Doug helped me realize that it was okay to have time of rest and play, that we didn't have to work 24/7. And we had also different expectations about how to run a house, and we were raised really differently too. So these were all things that we had to work through, especially in those early months and years. And sometimes it did lead to fights and disagreements. And I should mention today that after these years of being married, we don't have disagreements very often, but when things do come up, we do our best to try to work through them. And we've come a long way. So here's what we don't fight about: household duties and kids. I've learned that if there are two things outside of money that lots of couples fight about, it's these two areas. But because of my disability, Doug handles most of our household chores, the lawn, the dishes, everything like that. And so we don't fight about it because it's not even an issue. It's not something I can do. Doug can't get mad at me for not taking out the garbage because I can't. So it's not an issue in our marriage, and I think it's a perk of having a disability because we knew coming into our marriage what I could and couldn't do. So it eliminates one of the areas that other couples might fight about. And because we don't have kids, we don't have that as a point of contention in our relationship either. Now, of course, we do have sometimes disagreements about our cats. I spoil them, and Doug does not. But just like we had to learn how to live together, we also had to learn how to have healthy confrontations. Growing up in my family, we avoided confrontation. If we were upset with someone else, we would just give the silent treatment. And as an adult, I had to learn how to handle confrontation in a mature and healthy way, because confrontation is healthy. And so if you struggle with this, I encourage you to work on it, because this is so important to good communication and conflict resolution. Now, whether it was friends or caregivers, I had to learn how to communicate my feelings and not let them get bottled up. So over the years, I've gotten better at this, and now I am a communicator by nature. I want to talk about things and work through things so that we can move past them and come to a healthy resolution. But with Doug, if I was talking about something that bothered me, he would start to feel attacked and get defensive and want to withdraw. And I learned from reading books and talking to friends about how to really better frame my communication so Doug wouldn't feel attacked. And on Doug's side, he has learned to express his feelings so that he can share how he's feeling. In the beginning, when I could tell something was wrong, and I'd ask him, and he'd be like, nothing's wrong. But I knew something was wrong. And he doesn't really, thankfully, do that anymore. And if I ask if something's wrong, he'll tell me what's going on so we can talk about it. We've worked on this We've worked on this, so now after all these years, he knows I'm not attacking him and that he's more open to hearing my side and communicating how he feels so we can work through our disagreement. So together, Doug and I had to learn to balance our different communication styles and where each other was coming from. Now, this isn't perfect and we don't have everything figured out, but we've come a long ways. And so now when we feel like we're coming to a disagreement, we start with our feelings. We share how we're feeling and then work together through the situation and try to come to a compromise. Again, we're still human. We still struggle with this. Things don't come together perfectly every time, but this is what we try to do. And because we've seen that when we open our hearts and share our motivations and feelings, we become closer to each other. Even if we don't always agree 100%, we do agree 100% on the fact that we love each other, that we are committed to each other, and to making our marriage work. And so we want to have a loving and healthy relationship. So coming from that mutual standpoint, along with our shared faith, we've been able to work through many ups and downs together. And honestly, I have found that having confrontations and arguments has made our marriage stronger. I was always afraid to confront people because I thought they'd get mad at me or leave or that it would hurt our relationship. But I've actually seen over the years that we have these arguments, we can share our sides and understand each other's points of view. And it just makes me love Doug even more. And I can say that now after we fight, I feel so much better. Fights can improve relationships. And so it's important for whoever is frustrated to share their feelings and get them off their chest. Because when they do try to reach a boiling, or when we do try to shut down your feelings until they reach a boiling point, it's not healthy. The other person could feel blindsided. And so I think it's important to be open and work through conflict in this way. So there's one more thing I want to share. I'm trying to be more authentic on social media to show the real parts of my life. And it's not that I haven't been real before because I've always been honest. But social media has taught us to put up the things that look good and are fun and exciting. And it's something we can all work on. I'm working on it. And I am encouraging you to work on it too, because otherwise, social media is just not real or the full truth. You see a picture of a couple and you think, oh, I'm so jealous of them. But you have no idea what that couple might be going through or how they might be struggling. So we have to be careful when we look at someone's life and think, I want that. Because social media isn't always authentic and real. So I'm also encouraged by the fact that there are some new social media apps coming out that encourage people to be more real, authentic, and positive-minded. Apps like Be Real and We Belong and Gas are becoming more popular among middle and high school students and could be a refreshing alternative to places like Instagram, which tends to make life seem glamorized and perfect. So thanks for joining me to talk about this topic. Leave a comment below if you found this interesting. And also, what are some ways that you work through disagreements with your partner? What have you learned? See you next time.